and welcome. I'm Sean Kershaw, and this is To Whom It May Concern. To Whom It May Concern is a TV series that we're using here in Okemo Valley TV to interview Vermonters of all ages and walks of life and all kinds of backgrounds to capture the stories that are unique to living and working and playing in Vermont, particularly rural Vermont, which is where we are right now. So my guest today is Linda Thomson, and Linda and I have crossed paths in different ways, different events and things like that. And I'm interviewing Linda today because she has such a unique business. And I'd like to just delve into that a little bit at some point, but I want to just kind of get your background. So are you a native Vermonter? That's the first thing I ask.
No, I am not.
Okay, so neither am I. Okay, no shame in that, right? Exactly. Okay, how did you come to live in Vermont?
Well, I grew up in upstate New York.
Okay.
I have to say upstate because when you just say New York, everyone assumes New York City.
Yeah, exactly, yes. Right.
So I grew up and went to college in upstate New York where I met my husband.
Okay.
And he, after graduation, was working at a private school in Massachusetts for learning disabled children.
Okay.
And so when we were married, I moved and became the school nurse at this school.
Wow.
And he ultimately became the headmaster of that school.
Okay.
And unless it was a residential school, so
their students live there all year long. Okay.
Unless we physically left campus, he was never off duty. And so we liked to ski.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So we bought a vacation home here in Ludlow, Vermont.
Okay.
And so we could come up on weekends and vacations and all that.
And get off of I'm off duty.
Right.
Yeah.
That was in 1977.
77,
and we moved up here in 1989.
Wow, excellent.
And I've been here ever since.
Now, how did you pick Ludlow as your second home location?
Well, when we were living in Massachusetts, a dear friend of ours was building a house at Mount Abrams, which is up near Sunday River in Maine.
Okay.
And it was about a 4.5 or more hour drive. So after skiing all day Sunday,
that's
the drive
a long
back was
ride. Exactly.
So we decided, okay, we're doing a radius of maybe 2.5 hours from where we were in Massachusetts.
Excellent.
And we had skied at Okemo back when it was a lot of pommelets.
Yeah.
And also at Round Top when that was open.
Okay.
And so we knew we kind of liked this area.
Yeah.
We wanted a place on water so we could enjoy it summer and winter.
Fantastic.
And found a place on Lake Pauline.
Oh, amazing. Good for you. Now, your family has a history of Vermonters, however. Even though you're not a native Vermonter, some people in your family are, and it goes back a bit. Tell us about that.
Well, I don't know much about it other than in a written piece of history on my mother's side that a relative of hers lived in Springfield, Vermont.
Right.
And actually was in the Civil War down in one of the Carolinas. And his wife, at that point in time, got to go with him and do cooking and stuff.
Yeah,
and there was
that was a thing.
There was horrendous typhoid epidemic during the Civil War in that part. But they survived, but a lot of the people from the Vermont contingent that were down in the Carolinas did not.
And then after the war, did they relocate back to Vermont? Don't know. Yeah.
Don't know.
Lost to history.
Lost to history, as well as in Hurricane Irene, or as my husband says, it's Tropical Storm Irene. To us, it was a hurricane.
It sure felt like one.
Because we lost our house in Hurricane Irene. So a lot of family history stuff is
literally
in the Long Island Sound.
Literally floated down the river.
Yes.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that. Now, you mentioned very briefly that you were a school nurse, so that means you were a nurse. That was that the profession that you had planned on, this is going to be my life's work?
Well, I grew up in a home where if you were going to college, you needed to go to college for a profession.
Gotcha.
And back in the 60s, it was teachers or nurses.
It was so.
And I wanted to be a physicist, but my dad, no, you needed,
really?
And then I wanted to be a doctor, but he said, no, only wealthy people can become doctors.
Okay.
So therefore, nursing was the thing I did. So
there you go.
I was a nursing major in college.
Okay. And where did you go to school? Just curious.
Hartwick College in Oneonta, New York. It's a small liberal arts college.
I know where that school is, and I know where that is, yeah. And that environment is kind of like Vermont. It's pretty rural.
It is.
Small town, right?
Yeah.
So while you moved and relocated, you didn't change your environment all that much?
No, and the town that we lived in Massachusetts was very small. In fact, when we'd come up to Ludlow, that was like the big city from the town in Massachusetts where we lived.
There you go, exactly. Here's the thriving metropolis of Ludlow.
Yes.
There you go.
It had stores, a supermarket.
Yeah, a gas station, exactly.
More than one.
Yeah, I know, that's exciting. Even now, that's exciting. Yeah. So while you decided to go to school as a nurse, that is not where you landed. You are not a nurse right now, are you?
Oh, I am.
You are?
I'm definitely
sorry.
a nurse.
Okay.
I'm a nurse practitioner.
Okay, got it. And however, that's not what you do for a living. Exactly. You have an unusual, is it a business?
It is, but I am first and foremost a nurse practitioner who incorporates clinical hypnosis and medical hypnosis into my practice.
Okay, so say that again.
I am a nurse practitioner who incorporates clinical and medical hypnosis into my practice as a nurse practitioner.
Interesting, okay. And how did that come about?
Well, for 44 years, I was a pediatric nurse practitioner practicing in Longmeadow, Massachusetts, and Enfield, Connecticut. Okay. Even after we moved up here, I commuted back and forth.
Wow.
And I went to pediatric grand rounds every Tuesday morning at Bay State Medical Center, where they would bring in a speaker and they would talk on different topics
and subjects.
And this one particular Tuesday, they were bringing in someone who was talking about hypnosis and hypnotherapy with children. And I remember one of my colleagues rolling her eyes and going, "You're not going to that, are you?" And I said, "It's Tuesday. It's free coffee. It's free donuts. I go every week."
Absolutely, yeah.
So in that hour presentation, I realized that a lot of the strategies and techniques I used with children were hypnotic. I just never would have called it that because I really thought hypnosis was a little woo-woo and kind of out there. And, you know, strategies I'd use to engage cooperation of scared children or help them through a painful procedure or that kind of thing were hypnotic.
Wow.
So I thought, whoa, I got to learn more about this. And so then I pursued a doctorate and a lot of training in clinical hypnosis. And the topic of my doctoral dissertation was changing the attitudes, practices, and beliefs of healthcare professionals concerning hypnosis, because I knew that there were a lot more people out there, both lay public and medical professionals, who, like I, thought, you know, hypnosis was sort of woo-woo. So I went around and did a lot of speaking at conferences and grand rounds at hospitals and medical schools and stuff. And they filled out a questionnaire before I spoke about their attitudes, practices, and beliefs about hypnosis, and had they ever referred anybody, what did they think about it, had they ever thought about pursuing training themselves, did they think it was a viable treatment option. And then at the end of my lecture, they filled out another questionnaire, and then months later followed it up by mail, finding out if they had changed anything or their attitudes had changed, they'd referred anybody, or they had pursued education themselves.
Interesting. So you became that Tuesday morning speaker.
Yes.
And what was the result of those questionnaires? I'm curious.
Just, you know, an hour presentation going over dispelling some of the myths and misperceptions about hypnosis. Talking about the research that's been done on the therapeutic uses of hypnosis, and then how you could go and be trained. Yeah.
What year is this, Linda? That you're, you know, maybe when your doctorate is finished?
It was the end of the 1990s.
Okay. And is this, at that time, was this a large field? Was it, you know, pretty much, we get it, we understand that there are these practitioners out there? Was it a small niche field?
It's still a small niche field.
Okay.
It's amazing to me how meditation and mindfulness has taken off.
Yeah.
Yet hypnosis, you know, is still the H word that, you know, nobody wants to say.
Right. And are there, excuse me, are there many women in this field? Or is it about 50-50, or is it, I'm just curious.
I think when I started, it was male dominated.
Okay.
But now at some of the workshops and stuff I teach, usually we have more women than men.
Interesting. Okay. So who are your patients? Is that what you call them? Mm-hmm. Okay. Who are your patients typically?
Well, because my background is in pediatrics, I love to work mostly with children.
Yeah.
But I also see adults as well.
Okay.
For a variety of things. Since COVID, anxiety has been
for sure
the biggest one, along with children. But I see them. One of my favorite ways to use hypnosis is preparation for surgery.
Okay.
Because it makes such a difference. You know, people's anxiety level is usually up before surgery.
Of course it is.
So working with them, finding out what it is that they're concerned about.
What is the thing of making you afraid?
With the surgery.
Yeah.
And helping them through that whole process. And then afterwards, it makes such a difference on the amount of pain medication or whatnot that they need.
Yeah.
And that they can reframe the experience they're having as sensations of healing rather than pain.
Wow.
And I was doing some research at Dartmouth a number of years ago because I had gone to speak to an epilepsy support group.
Okay.
And some of the people at this group had gone through epilepsy surgery. And in preparation for the epilepsy surgery, you are hospitalized, and then you have either grid or depth electrodes implanted in your brain. And they have to do that, well, they do the depth electrodes without anesthesia. The grid electrodes, you do get anesthesia. And you can imagine having someone drill into your head.
Just the thought of it and the sounds associated with it.
Yes.
Wow.
So the patients there were saying, oh, could we have used that when we were going through this phase of
that preparation? Wow.
And so we thought, okay, so we designed a study where there was a control group who went through with just the normal what they did, and the other group who started to listen to recordings that I had made 3 days before surgery, and then continued in the surgical suite with the recordings.
Really?
And then they had a different recording for afterwards because the people with the depth electrodes and the grid electrodes experienced a lot of discomfort. That's my reframe. They said pain. They were usually nauseated, so they lost weight. And they were waiting for them to have several good seizures so that they could map exactly where on a subsequent hospitalization they would go in for that surgery. So there was anxiety, there was nausea, there was pain, and so these recordings they found very helpful in the group.
That was the control group. Wow.
No, the control group didn't have anything.
Didn't have anything. The non-control group. Sorry,
all that.
Wrong word. Okay. So this is a practice that is literally measurable. You can measure how much this group felt or didn't feel based on your intervention.
Yes. Wow. However, in hypnosis, the personalization and utilization of what the patient brings you, why they want to change, why they want to make changes in their life, and the relationship or the therapeutic alliance you have with them is so important. And when you're doing research, it has to be scripted.
Yes.
You know, these people listened all to the very same recording, so I couldn't personalize it for them.
Yeah.
So yes, the research is out there, particularly for irritable bowel syndrome.
Yeah.
It is by some gastroenterologists considered the treatment of choice because anxiety and IBS go hand in hand. So if you can decrease the anxiety, the IBS will, settle down.
Yeah.
And the gut and the brain are so in tune with each other.
Completely. Second brain. Yeah, you've got your second brain.
So the research on that is huge and shows it's very effective, but it has to be scripted, to do the research.
Sure.
But when you can adapt the research
to
the
you
patient.
and I,
Yeah.
you and your patient. Exactly. Then
it's
that's
even
where
more
the impact.
effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. How does living in Vermont, which is kind of small, impact your practice? Does it impact your practice? Are you as busy as you would be if you were in Lowell, Massachusetts, or what does that look like?
I would probably say that yes, hypnosis, even though, Vermont is a pretty liberal state and people look for holistic healing and that kind of thing, that hypnosis, unfortunately, we are stuck with that H word. Hypnosis, where people will, mindfulness, meditation, but hypnosis, that's a little weird. And actually, hypnosis kind of takes mindfulness and puts it on steroids.
Whole nother level.
It takes it
whole
just to
nother
another
level. Exactly. Wow, that's fascinating. So how do clients find you? How do they come to you? How do you find them?
Well, referrals from docs around the state. Some find it from my website. Some find because of the teaching that I do, which a lot of it is no longer local. And I go places, but they'll hear of somebody who's in Vermont, and so I'll get referred from Massachusetts and New York and Pennsylvania and Canada, and so I do some virtual work, but
so I was going to ask
lot.
you. Okay, so most of it is on site, in person.
Yes.
And you find that the most effective way to...
Absolutely, especially with kids.
I'll bet. Now you brought some goodies.
Yes.
Tell us what these goodies are. Tell us about them.
Well, I was speaking up in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I had written a little book to introduce children to hypnosis and the power of their imagination. And a book publisher was there, and he saw the little book, and I have to give Marcia Dockham credit because she did all the artwork in the book for me. And
hold up just a one. Thank you.
And he saw it and he said, we'd like to publish that, but could you write a few more stories about maybe Harry having other problems? And I thought,
Harry is your main character?
Harry the hypnopotamus. Yes.
So
I said, well, Harry lives in a zoo and there are other animals there and they could have other problems, so I could probably write some more stories. So I thought maybe I'd write 4 or 5ve stories, and then I got writing, and then in the first book, I forget, I think there's 32, 35 stories about different animals with different problems.
It just came.
Yes.
You started writing, and it just literally flowed out of you. Wow, that had to be exciting. And then once I
finished that one, I thought, well, there's other problems and other techniques that I want to highlight in the book that you could use. So then I started writing the second book.
Wow.
And then I just got busy. And so people kept saying, when's the third one coming out? When's the third one coming out? And now I'm working on a different type of book. But it was also translated into Chinese.
Really?
I have absolutely no idea if the language is correct.
So you can't edit it. Exactly.
Nope.
Yes, you're going to have to count on somebody else to proof that for you. Exactly.
Yes.
Wow, that's fascinating. Now, do you find that children are more accepting of the possibility of this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because hypnosis taps into the power of imagination. And kids are in their imaginations all the time.
All the time, exactly.
And, their ability to accept that I hear raindrops on the roof, or reindeer on the roof, and that a man in a red coat and a beard can fit down the chimney and bring
a puppy,
a bicycle, a kitchen set. It's all possible to them. So imagining putting a magic spot on their arm where nothing needs to bother them isn't a big stretch because the rational world and the real world are very mixed up for kids.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're very good at being totally absorbed in something. If you've ever seen a child play a video game, you've seen somebody in a trance state. And that's what hypnosis is. It's the process of getting people into trance, which is an altered state of consciousness or awareness. And it's not something weird. It's people go into and out of all the time.
Yes.
You've probably experienced a time when you got in a car to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And you remember getting in the car and suddenly you've arrived where you're going.
And then showing up and going, don't remember that ride. Yeah.
Yes, how did I get here?
That's a trance-like state. That's what you're saying.
And some people call that highway hypnosis.
Yeah.
When I work with someone, I call that hetero hypnosis, where I facilitate them going into a trance state.
Right.
But whether or not they go there is entirely up to them.
Wow.
Hypnosis is not something that's done to you. It's something you allow to happen to yourself. And what I want my patients to learn is self-hypnosis, how to put themselves in that space for their own benefit.
Wow. And that's possible.
Absolutely.
That is possible to do that. Wow. And then what do they report back to you when they've gotten to that level of altered consciousness, relaxed, calm, I would think, experiencing a peaceful state? What do they report back to you when they've achieved that?
Well, wonderful success, but the one thing that I do with every single patient I see is to teach them diaphragmatic breathing.
Okay.
And when I would see kids, you know, when they were 7 for enuresis or bedwetting, and I'd see them back as a teenager, and I'd say, remember when we worked together? Anything about that you still use? 95% of the time they'd say, the breathing.
Really?
Because it would help them with anxiety, it would help them, you know, calm down.
Right, which is also what mindfulness uses, of course. The first step in mindfulness is to pay attention to your breathing, and you take it to a whole nother level.
Yes.
Wow, that's fascinating. So when you are working with a patient, is there a time frame? Is there, or is it all over the place? Like, kind of what's the cadence of me becoming your patient? Or
I tell my patients the first time I see them that my job in this is to work myself out of a job, that they do not need me or the recordings of our sessions in here. They need the skills in here that I'm going to help them acquire or teach them.
Right. So you work yourself out of a job, and so success for you is a client that
doesn't come back.
Doesn't come back. Exactly.
Because they've gotten what they need.
Exactly.
And they're using it.
Yes, and they're using it. Exactly. So what do you wish that people understood a little bit more about hypnosis?
That it isn't woo-woo.
Okay.
It is a misunderstood therapeutic modality.
Okay.
And it involves breathing. It involves focused attention.
Okay.
Very often it involves relaxation, although relaxation doesn't have to be part of it.
Okay.
Just like if someone is delivering a baby, they can be using hypnosis, and relaxation, probably not.
Not the first thing that's going to be achieved.
It uses...
Exactly. Do you use hypnosis for delivery?
Yes. I was there when my 8-year-old grandchild was born. And used hypnosis with my daughter in the delivery room.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And the others I had to do by recording because they live in Colorado.
Yeah, that's fair. That's completely fair. So what do you think needs to happen in order for people to understand or stop misunderstanding hypnosis? What would be on your wish list for that?
Well, I would wish that in the world of Hollywood and stage hypnotists that they stop portraying hypnosis as mind control, or you know, that you'll be revealing secrets, or that you know, you're under the control of the hypnotist. I hate that word. And I am not a hypnotist. I am a nurse practitioner who incorporates clinical hypnosis and medical hypnosis into my practice.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. So that perception, it's not that your practice is misunderstood. When people understand what you do, they get it. It's, I got it. Oh, thank you for doing this. You know, it's the other. It's the hypnotist. It's the stage hypnotist that has influenced how people perceive your profession.
Right. So it's partly lay people. It's also the professions, you know, that aren't as accepting as what I wish they could be.
Yes. Interesting. Okay. Well, maybe today we've moved the needle a tiny little bit on people not misunderstanding what hypnotherapy is. Is that a correct term?
Yes.
Okay.
Hypnotherapy is the use of hypnosis therapeutically.
Got it. Okay.
And that's
so
what I
maybe
do.
we move the needle a little bit on that. Let's hope, right? So I like to end my conversations with clients with a couple of questions. One of them is about your defining moments. And I ask clients, or guests, I should say, I ask guests, what is something that when you got to a T in life, if you'd gone right, it would have been one way, and if you'd gone left, it would have been a completely different way. So I think that I can assume that one of your defining moments was showing up at a seminar on a Tuesday morning and the light bulb going off in your head. Is that correct?
Yes, it certainly changed the course of my career.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. How about on a personal level? What's something that has changed the course of your life? Like you would be a different Linda if this thing hadn't happened. Do you have one?
Yes. When I was 19, I was critically injured in a catastrophic skiing accident.
Okay.
And spent the next 3 months in intensive care, trached and on a respirator, on hemodialysis, and life support.
Oh my goodness.
And so when I learned about hypnosis, looking back at that experience, there were so many times that if somebody had known about hypnosis, when you can't breathe, you can literally see life and death and know that the only thing separating the two is your next breath.
Wow.
And I needed somebody to focus my attention and say, Linda, it's okay.
Yeah.
Breathe with me. But nobody knew how to do that. The only thing I knew how to do for pain was to ask for, Demerol.
Of course.
And nobody else had any answers for
exactly.
how to
What
help
year
me
was
with
this,
pain.
Linda?
1968.
Okay, yeah, very different time.
Yes.
Very different time.
So that was sort of defining for me in another way as well. My college had a blood drive for me because I needed a tremendous amount of blood. And the following year, when I was well enough to go back to college, this young man came up to me and said, "Hi, you don't know who I am, but I donated blood for you while you were sick, so I think you owe me a date." And we've been married for 53 years.
That is the best line I've ever heard.
And not everybody can use it.
No, it is quite unique to you and George. That's amazing. And George gives blood to this day. I see him almost every 8 weeks or whatever our timing is. Exactly.
He does. I don't know if he's still trying to find somebody else.
You know what? Next time I'm there, I'll check it out. Okay. I'll see who he talks to. That was clearly a defining moment. And also you mentioned that when you look back at your experience with your ski accident and now when you had chosen this as a profession and this is going to be my practice, that you looked back and saw the opportunities that could have arisen.
Yes.
And did that lend itself to, I'm making the right decision. This is a practice that I need to pursue. And I know the value of it. Even before you experienced that, do you think that it influenced you?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would think so too. That's amazing.
And now my next project is writing a book. It's a textbook for nurses about hypnosis.
Fantastic.
So I was trying to clear out my iCloud because I store too much crap there.
Good luck with that,
Yeah, and
Let me know how it works out. Yeah.
I came across this book proposal I'd written like 20 years ago.
For real?
And I dusted it off and thought, this is pretty good. I should write this book. And so I thought, okay, so I sent it out to a publisher. Within 2 weeks, Rutledge, Taylor and Francis has agreed to publish the book. So,
that is fantastic.
So now, as I tell people, I have to have butt glue, where I glue my butt to the chair and write.
Okay, we'll see if we can help you with that. Okay. Then my last question is just about Vermont and living in Vermont. What do you wish that people knew about Vermont?
How beautiful it is.
Yeah.
How, not to get political, liberal it is.
Yeah.
So most of the people here are the same political bent that I am.
Yep.
And how warm and welcoming the people are.
Yeah, that's true. I think that people get how beautiful it is, because of all that we put out there. But I don't know that they get how wonderful the people are. And I agree with you. I think that that is a wonderful thing. We also landed here because we had a second home. And And it was like, when we bought the second home, friends of ours said, "You're not going to retire to Vermont, are you?" And I thought, oh, I hadn't thought about that, but we did. So, exactly.
And no regrets.
No regrets at all, not even a second's worth. So thank you for that. So I want to thank Linda, my guest, for coming here. When I first read about this topic and you, one of the first things I thought was, oh, I need to interview this person. This is fascinating. It's so interesting and so different and so needed and useful. So thank you for coming today. And then thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you know somebody that you think would be a great guest on this show, please get a hold of the TV station. Our number is all over this video, and you'll be able to reach out to us and let us know who that person is. I would love to interview somebody if you think that they would be a great guest. In the meantime, I just want you to know that these are stories that you can hang your hat on. And I'm Shawn Kershaw. This is To Whom It May Concern, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.